Christopher Nolan's Tenet, starring John David Washington as the lead role of protagonist. Yes, that is his name in the movie.
I'm the protagonist.
The movie is about a man who passes a test by choosing his life over revealing information. He is then sent to be a tenant and learns about inverted objects that move backwards in time. Fear of a nuclear disaster being sent in the past sends John's character on a mission to find out where these objects are being sent from and why. I love this movie a lot because it had a classic Christopher Nolan style. It has a very cinematic feel with a great complex plot that feels like it's made for the big screen. Sadly, I was watching this movie in 2021, meaning it was from my living room TV. But that didn't stop this movie from showing its potential as a cinematic masterpiece. Christopher Nolan, in his past films such as Inception and Dunkirk, has a masterful way of showing scenes that would normally be confusing in an easy, comprehended manner. For me, that was not the case with Tenet. The selling point of this film is that objects and even people can move in reverse if they go through a certain machine. At first, it was easy to understand when it was only objects because you would see bullet holes in the glass and no bullets will fly backwards from it. Okay. It got slightly more complex when they introduced people moving backwards, but you would understand they would just move backwards, but not the entire time. Then it got worse when towards the end of the film there was a war zone scene where troops are fighting, but they are inverted troops and their perception would change between troops going normally through time and troops that are inverted, and it became a little of a mess. Now don't get me wrong, the movie still presents a great film. The only flaw I see is that the audience will definitely get confused on what's going on at times. This movie is very much a Christopher Nolan film. It has a unique style and pushes the boundary of what modern cinema can do. A lot of scenes were either filmed knowing they would be reversed, and the amount of planning it would take to do something on that level is mind-boggling. Christopher Nolan is great at taking concepts that almost feel dreamlike and presenting them in a believable manner. Inception was one of those films where even though it was a fantasy, it was presented in a realm of possibility, with people and places that would reflect what it would actually be like to have people enter a dream. This film does the same thing. It takes the concept of objects and people moving inverted or backwards in time and presents it in a way that shows how people would react or what would actually happen if it was real. Now, they don't go totally into the science of it, but they do give some understanding of how it works towards the beginning of the film, but also says to try not to understand it too much. Some of my favorite scenes was where the protagonist is fighting an inverted character, and later in the film, protagonist goes through the machine and is walking around in the world inverted. That was very unique, and the film does a great job of setups and payoffs. John David Washington was good in this role and played off his other co-stars very well, but I wish there was a little more of that. And all the action scenes he did was great, and all the action scenes themselves were great. That's something Nolan is definitely known for. I also feel as though there's a lot of exposition in this film. There's a lot of explaining, then lots of action. And it feels like the film is split in half because of this. The dialogue scenes are hard to follow when they're just names and places you've never heard of or seen, and yet you're left thinking, who? What? Huh? But overall, the film was great and definitely worth a watch. I love the inverted mechanic they used, and they used it well, even though it was tough to understand at times. It's a great visual and paints a bigger picture of what the characters do even after the film's over. For this film, I definitely advise it for advanced and intermediate moviegoers. Thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely plan on uploading more movie reviews. This is something I like to do. So please stay tuned for more, and we'll see you in the next scene. Moving on!